$25 an hour. That's what Uber advertises to new drivers. Sign up, earn on your schedule. It sounds good. But here's what the math actually shows. After fuel, after maintenance, after insurance, after depreciation, the real take-home for a full-time Uber driver in the United States is closer to $9.12 per hour. That number is not a typo. Today, we're running every single cost, and the results are brutal. Here's exactly how we're running this simulation. We're modeling a full-time Uber driver working 40 hours per week, 50 weeks per year. Vehicle, a 2022 Toyota Camry, the single most popular rideshare car in the United States, according to Uber's own fleet data. We're using national average fuel prices, IRS standard mileage rates, and insurance figures sourced from the Insurance Information Institute. No cherry-picked markets, no best-case scenarios, national averages only. Every number has a source. Let's start with what Uber actually puts in your pocket. Uber's own data puts average driver earnings at around $24.77 per hour. But that's the gross fare. The total, the passenger pays. Uber takes a commission. That cut ranges from 25 to 30% depending on market and trip type. After Uber's slice, the average driver keeps roughly $17.34 per active hour on the app. Active means a passenger is in the car or you're driving to pick one up. Here's the problem. That's not the full picture of your time. The average rideshare driver spends about 30% of their total driving time deadheading, meaning they're moving with no passenger, no fare, no pay. You drove to pick someone up. You drove back to a busy area. You sat in a parking lot waiting for a ping. None of that pays. So if you're on the app for 40 hours, you're earning for roughly 28 of them. Your effective gross rate before any expenses, about $12.10 per total app hour. That's before we touch a single cost. Let's build the cost stack. First, fuel. A full-time rideshare driver averages roughly 60,000 miles per year, about 5 times the national average for a regular driver. A 2022 Camry gets around 32 miles per gallon combined. At 60,000 miles, that's 1,875 gallons annually. At the 2025 national average of $3.40 per gallon, fuel alone costs $6,375 per year. Now maintenance. High-mileage rideshare vehicles need oil changes every 3,000 miles. Not the standard 5 to 7,000. Tires wear out in 18 months, not 4 years. Brake pads, filters, belts, all accelerated. Industry estimates from AAA and consumer reports put rideshare maintenance costs at around 7 cents per mile for a high-use vehicle, 60,000 miles. That's $4,200 per year in maintenance. Then insurance. Personal auto insurance does not cover you while working for Uber, period. You need a rideshare endorsement or a commercial policy that runs an average of $1,800 per year on top of your base premium. Here's the cost most drivers never calculate. Depreciation. A standard use Camry loses about 15% of its value in year 1, then around 10% annually thereafter. But a 60,000 mile per year rideshare vehicle loses value dramatically faster. Carfax data shows rideshare flagged vehicles sell for 10 to 20% less than equivalent private use cars at the same model year. We're using a conservative 9 cents per mile for depreciation based on IRS rideshare cost analysis. 60,000 miles, $5,400 per year, gone, silently. Most drivers never see this cost because it doesn't appear on a receipt. But when you go to sell that car with 200,000 miles on it, you'll feel every cent. Now taxes. Uber drivers are independent contractors, not employees. That means no employer paying half your Social Security and Medicare. You owe the full 15.3% self-employment tax on net earnings. No paid time off. No health insurance. No retirement contribution match, none of it. A W-2 employee with a $50,000 salary costs their employer closer to $62,000 once benefits are included. As an Uber driver, you pay all of that yourself, or you simply go without. Let's run the final tally. Annual gross fares at $17.34 per active hour, 28 active hours per week, 50 weeks, about $24,276 base. Adjusted for surge pricing, tips and bonuses, which historically add about 17%, adjusted gross, $28,400. Uber takes 25%, $7,100. Driver gross, $21,300. Subtract fuel, $6,375. Maintenance, $4,200. Insurance, $1,800. Depreciation, $5,400. Net before tax, $3,525. Self-employment tax, $539. Annual take-home, $2,986. 2,000 hours worked, $2,986. That is $1.49 per hour for a 40-hour work week. The $9.12 figure from the opening reflects a part-time driver at 20 hours per week, where fixed costs like insurance and depreciation land differently. Either scenario, the advertised number does not survive contact with the spreadsheet. 3 costs destroy Uber driver income, and most drivers find out the hard way. First, depreciation. Your car is a depreciating asset, and rideshare miles accelerate that faster than almost anything else. If you're financing, you may be cash flow negative before a single other expense. Second, deadhead time. You are working when you are not earning. That time still burns fuel, still wears the car, still does not pay. Third, self-employment tax. If you've spent years as a W-2 employee, you have never personally written a check for both halves of FICA. As a contractor, you do. That 15% hits hard the first time you file. So when is Uber worth it? As a supplement, with a paid-off car, in a high-density urban market, with consistent surge pricing, the math can work. As a primary income source, with a financed vehicle, in a low-density suburban market, the numbers rarely add up. If this changed how you think about gig income, subscribe. We run the real numbers every week. Next up, what happens if you invest that money instead of driving? The difference over 10 years will genuinely surprise you. See you there.